Okay, so what I'm going to try and do here is give you a little extra help with finding the equation for a quadratic from a graph. Obviously, it's been transformed, and these are similar to number 14 and number 16 in homework 1.2. So the idea is that every quadratic in the vertex form is going to, every quadratic equation is going to look something like this. It's going to be y equals, and then there could be a coefficient multiplied in front, which will affect the width of the parabola and also the direction that it opens. And then inside the parentheses, it's always going to be h minus the x coordinate of the horizontal shift. I'm going to call that h. That's what we typically call that. So x minus h. And then that's squared. And then on the outside, I need one more color here. Let's use a little purple or something. There could be a vertical shift, which we usually call k. So we are essentially in a fill in the blank situation here. We need to fill in that scale factor out in front, the a. We need to fill in the value of the horizontal shift, and we need to fill in the value of that vertical shift. So we're in a fill in the blank situation. Now, the good news is you can get h and k right away from the picture. So the vertex of the parabola always has the coordinates h comma k. So in our case, all I do is I find that vertex on the graph, and I realize that h is going to be the number -3, and k, I lost that purple again. Let's see, there it is. And k is going to be the number 2. So right away, I'm filling in those two blanks. Okay? So my current equation with those two blanks filled in looks like y equals, I still have, let me move this down here just to get out of the way. I still have that letter A that we haven't figured out yet, but now I'm going to have x minus -3. So we're going to write that as x plus 3, because when you do x minus -3, you get x plus 3, quantity squared. And then I have that vertical shift of 2, so I write plus 2. All that means is our parabola, the vertex has been shifted to the left 3 units and up 2 units. That's where you see my green circle there, h comma k. So we're 2/3 of the way done with this problem just by looking at the graph. Now, to get the other value for letter A, I'm going to need to fill in values for x and y and then use algebra to solve for A. To do that, I need to pick another point from the graph. And so I have two options. I can use -1, 0. That's a point easily identified on the graph. Turns out to be the x-intercept, but it's easy to spot that one because it goes right through the integers on the graph. And then down here, you can also see there's another point here, 0, -2.5. A lot of times, students don't want to mess with fractions and decimals, and I feel the same way. So I'm going to use this point here, -1, 0. The -1 is going to be filled in for my x, and the 0 is going to be filled in for my y. So I'm going to stick a 0 here and a -1 here, and I'm going to rewrite that equation and then solve it for the letter A. So that'll be my last blank I need to fill in. So when I do that, oops, let's try this. I end up with 0 equals A times -1 plus 3 is 2. 2 squared, that's going to end up being 4 plus 2. So this is going to end up being 0 equals 4a plus 2. And I'm going to use my inverse operations from algebra to solve this thing. So I'll start with subtracting 2 from both sides to eliminate the 2 over there. And when I do that, I get -2 equals 4a, because you might remember that this one turns into 0 and it crosses out. Now, a lot of students like to write their equations with the variable that they're solving for on the left side. So another way to write this is 4a equals -2. I can just flip it over. And then the last inverse operation that I'm going to use is divide by 4 on both sides. That'll isolate my variable a, and it'll also tell me the value, right? These are going to divide to 1, and then letter A is going to end up being whatever -2 divided by 4 is. Now, if you do it on a calculator, you'll get a decimal of -0.5. I'm just going to reduce it and keep it as a fraction. Math guys like to do that. So this ends up being -1/2 for letter A. And now I can go back up and I can fill that -1/2 in right here in my equation. And I'll have the entire equation now written out so that I can find the answer for this question. So I'm going to write down y equals -1/2 times the quantity x plus 3, because we shifted to the left, squared. And then that vertical shift was +2. And this equation is the correct equation for this translated parabola here that's shown in the picture. Y equals -1/2 plus 3, y equals negative. Oh, I'm having trouble talking today. Let's try this again. Last time, I promise. Y equals -1/2 times the quantity x plus 3 squared plus 2. That's the equation for the quadratic. You can use this technique on number 14 or number 16 to help you get the correct equation for the graphs that they present to you. If you have any other questions, feel free to fire them off. I'm happy to help. In the meantime, take care.